Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever and wherever you are. We're bringing you Link to the Past Randomizer Tournament Group P action. We've got this losers bracket round 2, this last chance match between Osse101 and Furaime. We got here, both of these players took a hard 1-2 loss against Plasma Kappa that won the group. Both of them took 2-0 wins over Scrub Casual. And that brings us to game 1 here. Calling this match tonight, I'm Reg. I'm joined by Tracy M. So Tracy, we've got the normal hard standard pool. What do you want to see from the uncle?
I'd like to see not Kana Burna. Actually, I kind of like Kana Samaria as an early weapon. I don't want to be boring and just say sword or anything like that, but the Kana Samaria, we likely will need it, so it's always nice to get a needed item. Plus, the amount of magic it uses isn't really heavy, so you can still do plenty of farming. So I think it's kind of a fun weapon. So, but I'll predict here.
Yeah, Samaria is a really interesting one to get at the start of a standard mode. Like, I don't really like it just because it's super awkward and slow, especially if you're trying to push the block around.
Sure.
But you're right, it is a highly efficient weapon in terms of its resource usage. Doesn't do better damage than a sword, but you can use tons of it. You can farm rats, you can farm snakes, however you want to do it.
Yeah, and of course, these guys probably want something nice and simple like a sword or a hammer. Those are always nice, but lots of other choices. You know, the fire rod is good. The bow is an interesting one just because I find the bow, I should say, is less interesting because we have 2 of them. So it's like when the bow shows up, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to get this bow and we'll never know where the other one is.
Yeah. It does open up some interesting routing options, and honestly, seeing people use the bow through escape is my favorite. We saw the map check there. I saw a 5-6 at Desert, and I saw a Crystal at Terra. I didn't catch what was at the Desert.
Yeah, I that was a little quick for me.
Tracker's saying Pendant at Desert, so that's... Yeah, shoutouts to Raylan doing the tracking here. Catching the things we don't, making it easy.
You know, a big shoutouts to Raylan. Not only is he running in this tournament, he does tracking, he does commentary, and he does setup for SG. He does it all. So big props to Raylan for everything he does.
Yep. Here we are, we're dropping down. And what's Uncle got for us?
And we get the bomb start. I kind of think of this as a good news, bad news one. It's one of the more difficult starts if you don't know, if you don't practice it. But it also pretty much guarantees you're going to have bombs for the back of escape. You won't have to worry about bombing getting those items in the back. And we get a lamp right afterwards.
Yeah, that's vanilla-ish, kinda.
Yeah, isn't that the second place the lamp can spawn if you don't if you don't pick it up at Uncle's house?
It can be at Link's house, it can be there, or it can be in Zelda's cell.
Yep.
And we also did see that the guards are part of the bomb prize pack here. We saw Furaime, I think, got a drop and then ignored it because he was still on 10 when he killed one with a pot.
Wow, we're not going to have issues with bombs, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how practiced these guys are with some of the strats here. And that definitely looks like something that Furaime's practiced, and Osse doing the same thing.
Yeah, I saw Osse the other day practicing one of these, and he did get a bomb start, so he definitely knows strats to do this. He talked about some of the strats he uses are not necessarily the fastest, but definitely safe enough.
Yeah, and with the bomb start and escape, I would value consistency a little more than speed.
Yeah, I would too.
And as chat's pointing out here, we did see a green 20 in that map chest there, so we know for sure with the items we have that has to have replaced an armor upgrade in the item pool.
Yeah, haven't even come close to maxing out anything else, so. And just some arrows. Oof.
Missing one bomb there on Osse's side. Gonna have to wait for it to explode.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate.
Good news with the ball and chain guard is that there's 3 pots. You only gotta throw 2 of them, so you can even miss once.
Yeah, I expect both of them would use that. I'm trying to kill the ball and chain guard with bombs sounds like a very bad proposition. I like what Furaime did there with the leaving the bomb to kill the green guard, though.
Yeah, you even got a drop out of it. Let's see if that's still there when he gets all the way back over there, or if it's despawned by then.
Yeah, I see doing essentially the same thing. Except he used the pot for the green guard.
Yeah, there's 3 in that room for a reason. It's perfectly fine to do that. It saves you a little bit of trouble with that guard trying to get in your way. When you're picking up the key, throwing another pot or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic because if we go into that room in an open mode, we usually want to leave that guard alive because typically you're going to want a death warp. But here, it just gets in your way. So if you can kill it, yeah, much better.
Yeah, it's one I'm not going to call it a perk of standard mode, but just one of its little intricacies. It's honestly quite the same as the vanilla game. Although there you don't want to kill that guard if you can help it because it's slow. Here the time loss is not nearly as relevant, if just being a couple seconds here.
So you probably want some more bombs. Grab that pot. Didn't get one.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate here since he is only on 4. Osse did get a drop earlier that he picked up. Actually, I think 2 of them. He's on 5 after missing 1 earlier.
Yep.
But at this point, they only need 1 more for the key rat.
Yep.
And then they'll just get the items in the back.
Just have to hope the key rat plays nice today.
Yeah, there are strategies for it. My favorite is probably just running at it with the bomb. But
if you have enough health, that works just fine. There's some drops.
Yeah, I like that.
A bomb. Yeah, it's a good idea. With all those ropes right there, they have the same price packs as the soldiers. Go ahead and put a bomb down. You trade. At this point in the prize pack, you're going to trade 1 for, in this case, 5. So that works out really well.
Yep, and that also means that with plenty of bombs to spare, Furaime can use one to exit the secret room in the sewers through the top, which will save a second or 2. Not much.
Osse only with 5 is probably not going to want to do that. Probably want to save his bombs for Kakariko.
Or Furaime can have an extra bomb for Keyrat. Gets it. Osse also gets it. So both of them in good shape.
Alright, what are we going to get back here?
Don't think we've seen a map yet. Nope.
There, now we have. Piece of heart and a piece of heart. So not a whole lot of importance, but at least we don't have to worry about coming back later. And as expected, Osse going down the bottom, Furaime going up the top. It's only a 1 bomb difference at this point, but 3 is what you need for Kakariko, so.
Yep. Well, 3 for the village itself, 4 for the race game if you want it, but you can usually save that.
Yeah, and you know, with this kind of money, if they don't get more bombs and chests, they're just gonna buy them because they got that 300 rupees.
Yeah, there's your bombs and chests right there.
Maybe get some more.
So I'm not expecting either runner to head towards Lumberjack for a check there at this point,
Nope.
Not without the boots. I do like it as an option when you're low on bombs and rupees coming out of the castle, but we're not that. Osse was trying to lift the sign, kill a guard, get a drop, but guard hit him, and he dropped the sign. Little sad.
Okay, what do we have in the Lost Woods? Both can do a tree pull and get 80 rupees. Nice. Nice tier 2 tree pull. Both can ignore that piece of heart. Because we only have 16, there's 24 pieces of heart in the pool, but we only can pick up 16. So there's really no reason to go out of your way to pick up the ones that show up early.
Yeah, as we saw in the back of the sewers there, we will get enough of them as chests throughout the game. That one sitting there just on the mushroom spot. If we came back for it later, it could very well be a green 20 by the end of the game.
Osse going for another bomb drop if that guard doesn't quite get one.
Yeah. 50-50 on whether you get a drop. Unless you dash through an enemy with the boots and kill them that way, then it's 0. But 50-50, do you you win some, you lose some. It's the same as the bushes south of Kakariko and all the other 50-50 bushes and rocks.
Well, money not going to be an issue for a while. As we get another big 300.
Yeah, between that and the red rupees on the tier 2 tree pole, I think we're set for cash for the entire seed.
But other than that, not a whole lot in Blind's Hut. We'll see if the Weld gives us anything more.
Yeah. This is kind of where the excitement for Kakariko ends, because after this it's just a few single checks instead of the density, but Red Boomerang is essentially nothing. Red Rupee is less than nothing.
A mushroom is a to be determined, arrows is nothing, and a piece of heart. Okay, so that was... I mean, we have a mushroom that might lead to something, and other than that, not a whole lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed with how item poor, not just Kakariko, but the castle as well was. Like, we got a lamp, and that's really it.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about fire source for now, but, you know, probably still need that fire rod, most likely, so...
It would be a very strange seed if everything lined up just so that we didn't.
Yeah, we've seen a few of those, but yeah, it doesn't happen that often. And more money.
Yeah, I mean, we've got over 700 after paying the bottle vendor. Furaime just going to go buy bombs. He's on 4, which is a decent count, but probably won't get you through the mini Moldorm cave.
Yeah, it's really not.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's not enough for mini Moldorm without some other extra thing. So he's going to buy them. Osse's going to take his chances and not buy them. Maybe he'll choose to go a different direction instead of mini Moldorm.
Yeah, he's on 3. He's blind checking the race game, which is going to put him down to 2. So yeah, I expect him, honestly, to go to the Hylia shop after his save and quit.
Mm-hmm.
Both runners going for the blind race game here with how bad Kakariko was to him, and it's not rewarded.
Yeah, still just a red 20. Definitely not going to go out of your way for that. Not with the amount of money we've already gotten.
Osse taking his 2 bombs and going. He can't clear mini Moldorm cave with 2 bombs. Okay, he's turning in the mushroom first.
Yeah, I like this. Turn that mushroom, find out what it is right away. You do off a save and quit. If it's bad, you can go ahead and reset and keep the mushroom for a later fake powder. Looks like Furaime's doing the same thing.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I like this. Like you said, if it is nothing, just hard reset, keep the mushroom, go on with your life. But
At this point, I think it's pretty likely this is going to be something since we got so little else in Kakariko, but we'll see in just a second. I'm wrong. That is most definitely not something, and Osse's not resetting.
This is actually just impressive so far. Is he going to walk down to the eastern area from here?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he may just want to use up those bombs. He can use one at Saha, get down to 1, and then it makes it a little more worth, I guess, buying the 10 bombs.
Yeah, the thing is, buying the bombs is extra transitions away from the South Shore. I would have expected him to buy them and take them to Eastern.
And I don't know if he's actually going to go into Eastern, but all of Eastern is in logic except Armos because of that lamp. So maybe he just wants, maybe he figures there's something there because of the lamp. In the meantime, Furaime's going to show us that hook shot's really nice. I guess we don't have to worry about bombs for a mini Moldorm cave anymore.
Yeah, that does solve that problem. That glove means that once Osse gets to the dam or Furaime gets to Sahastrala, we can go up to the mountain and get some good value there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see either one of these guys do that once they get the complimentary item. In fact, Furaime might even do it. Oh, he's going to go into Eastern and finish it because that bow. That's a little unfortunate for Osse. Because unless there's the second bow is somewhere in Eastern, he's not going to be able to finish this dungeon.
Yeah, and he has no idea of this, obviously, but that's really unfortunate for him because the chances of the second bow being in Eastern are quite low at this point.
Extremely low.
We do see a Gina on Furaime's side. That's a check that's pretty often left behind. Chat was talking about Osse potentially doing it earlier with his bomb count, but he came to Eastern instead.
And gets his sword out of it.
Wow, well rewarded for that play. Because that's, like, if something like that can really bottleneck you early is in a Gina cave, like the Moon Pearl or your first club or something, that's not bad at all to skip it. You'll get funneled in there fairly quickly. Yep. When it's something like a sword or some far-off esoteric progression in there, like, say, Cane of Samaria, you could miss that for a very long time, and that could come into play.
And in Osse's case, it's with it being a sword, with there being 3 other swords in the pool. You only really need 2 to beat the game. He might completely miss that sword.
On the other hand, if he misses that sword, but he finds the other 3 and then just never has to check that cave, probably might actually save a bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess it really just depends on how much value Furaime gets out of having this sword early.
The one other possibility, of course, with that lamp and that sword, we're 1 item away from Aga. We're also just a Moon Pearl and a hammer or a second glove away from just having flat-out Dark World axes. Don't know which is going to happen, but that lamp often is an early telegraph for an Aga seed, so we'll see if that's the case. That sword's going to become very important, and Osse will have to pick it up most likely.
Yeah, that's possible. I don't see either of these people going to Aga without the Moon Pearl.
Nope.
Unless they know it's on the pyramid and they've isolated that.
Yeah, totally agree. I'm a fan of betting on Aga early. I'm not a fan of betting on Aga early without a Moon Pearl.
Yeah, I mean, we do have gloves and hookshot, so we do have hookshot across the river set up. Yep. We also have lamp and bow. That's a pretty strong tell for Palace of Darkness being relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot there if that hammer doesn't show up.
And a vanilla big key. So Osse's going to be able to check the big chest. And then he'll be done in here. Furaime's going to finish this. He's got that bow.
Yeah, I know we've seen 2 items. I can't remember what was in this chest that Furaime is about to check. I'm guessing it was a dungeon item. Yeah. So item in here means Osse does get all 3, but nope, Armos has 1.
Osse's starting a sanctuary.
This
is a little unfortunate because I think he's going to go do the mountain right now without the hookshot. So he's not going to be able to do a whole lot here. On the plus side is when he does get the hookshot, he can just save and quit right there. We still haven't seen Mini Moldarm Cave, though.
Yeah, not having seen Mini Moldarm Cave on either side at this point is unusual. Starting to get a little unusual.
I've definitely seen 1 runner in races skip it for a while, but I don't think I've ever seen 2.
Yeah. But it is also just... Furaime made the play towards Agina early, and then that pulled him, what he got in the dam pulled him over here to Eastern. And Osse just... The bomb count didn't work in his favor, so he wanted to avoid that area entirely. That's just a red rupee on the lumberjack. Not killing Aga for that.
Nope. We've seen lots of those we've already skipped.
Yeah. And you were saying earlier that going up the mountain now would be unfortunate for Osse on account of no hook, but thinking about it for a sec, I don't actually see it that way. Like you said, he'll get the save and quit point here. The only thing he can do is go up to Spectacle Rock afterwards.
Yep.
But if you want to go up to Spectacle Rock normally, you still got to do the same climb.
Yep.
And then it's jumping down the mountain versus saving, quitting back to the old man. That's a handful of seconds tops. It's really not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate in the sense that we know that the hookshot's there. But if, to his knowledge, I think it's a fine play to just go ahead and do this now. You know you have to do it. You want that save quit point. I should say you have to do it. I mean, a handful of times if you get a flute, you actually can avoid this. But it's so rare that actually happens, especially Most of the time I see people skipping this check as in a spoiler seed where you know where it is, you know what it is, and you just never bother.
Yeah, in a traditional seed, even if you have the flute, rescuing the old man is generally pretty convenient just for the fast save and quit point to flute out.
It just bombs on Spectacle Rock. We're not going to be... we might pick those up by accident, but no one's going to go either way for them. And just 20 rupees, so nothing doing here.
Okay, so Osse doesn't have anywhere left to go except South Shore at this point, so he'll get his hook shot, he'll get his bow, he'll probably be pretty sad about the bow, because he couldn't come do this boss fight that Furaime is starting up.
He's going to buy bombs now, which is... well, no, he's only got one, so he's going to need two if he wants to go all the way to Ice Rod Cave. So it's probably just as well, even though he's going to get that hook shot, won't need to use him on the mini Moldorms. Also, checking out Lake Hylia Island, which is... kind of funny, I often talk about this, Osse being an SMZ3 player. It's easy for us SMZ3 players to forget to check that, because it's literally the first item you check in that game, because where the portal spits you out at the very beginning. So yeah, and he knows it's just a shield. He's never going to get that. 3 shields in the pool, and he's probably going to end up, good chance he ends up in Fire Shield anyway, and not that he actually cares, because people don't tend to go out of their way for shields.
Yeah, Fire Shield matters in like 2 rooms of the game.
I like it for the blind fight.
Yeah, blind fight lane mold is 2.
Yep.
But 2 rooms. And then Baby Shield matters exactly 1 screen, which is the Swamp Palace entrance in the Dark World with that annoying little spear thrower. And that's about it. Other than that, shields are just sort of there.
Okay, we're probably going to get a look at Mini Moldorm Cave over here.
Yeah, the last big 5-item location in the light world here.
Ice Rod. And a bottle.
Okay, so a fetch quest and the one item that you always love to see early. You take that.
Absolutely. I mean, it could be that Turtle Rock ends up being a pendant dungeon, but I'd rather have the Ice Rod and Turtle Rock be a pendant dungeon than not have the Ice Rod and have Turtle Rock be a crystal dungeon. So we'll take that as a small victory.
That sums it up pretty well, I think. And besides that, if you have to dip Pendant Turtle Rock, you still want to dip it with the Ice Rod just in case. And just for chat asking a bit to recap a little bit, yes, this is a best of 3 between these 2 runners. This is game 1 of that best of 3. And both of these runners got here. They both went 1-2 against Plasma Kappa, who won this group. They both went 2-0 against Scrub Casual. And winner of this match, this best of 3, goes to the bracket stage of the tournament. Loser is out.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier. I mean, this is a tough group. Like, Osse, Furaime, and Plasma Kappa are all runners that I would expect to get to brackets, but with them all being in the same group, that just can't happen. And Scrub Casual, as you said, is no slouch himself. Just unfortunate to be paired with these other three really great runners.
Yeah.
Oh, and Osse doing the fake flipper. Can't actually do the waterfall cave because no Moon Pearl. But Zora is in logic with those mitts. Or sorry, with that glove. We don't have mitts yet. And Furaime showing us a whirlpool that normally we don't see except in NMG to get over to the mountain checks.
I think skipping the fake flipper plays here for Furaime with all he's got on the mountain makes sense. Meanwhile, Osse, like, he's already been to the mountain, seen a couple of the checks. He does have Paradox Cave still, but if you can do this, you can scout the ledge. Coming back for the waterfall later is very cheap.
Ooh, it's a fire rod. That's a nice find. And you can save and quit straight to the mountain now.
Yeah, like, that's actually just a wonderful turn of events for Osse there.
Yeah, because it might be a while before Furaime gets there. Osse's still missing that sword at Agina. We'll see if the stuff over at Paradox and the east of Death Mountain, it's gonna give us Dark World access of some sort, I believe. It's just a question of whether it's gonna be a second sword / cape for Aga, or a hammer / second glove for regular Dark World access. And of course, we're still missing that Moon Pearl. Yeah,
I'm expecting the Pearl to show up, just because if it doesn't, it's likely on the pyramid ledge, and nobody wants that.
No, nobody wants that.
And then after that, it's just take your one item to determine how we get our initial Dark World access.
This part of Paradox Cave not giving us the answer.
Nah, but when's the 2-item part of Paradox Cave ever been good, besides all the times it was?
So you have a hook shot. There you go.
Yeah, he was trying to hit the switch first to ignore the mold worms, but nothing doing there.
Okay, there's our hammer, so we're not going to be killing Aga unless that Moon Pearl's sitting there on the pyramid ledge. And at this point, I'm guessing not, but we still have, at this point... Oh no, we have Hera now.
Yep, we can go to Hera now. Can't get the Ether Tablet, even if we find a book. We also have Spiral Cave.
Yeah, I was about to say Spiral Cave was our only option, but now we have Hera as well. So that's at 3 locations instead of just the one. Piece of heart sitting on the floating island, so that's not going to come into play.
Yep, and we're seeing Osse skip Spiral Cave 4 now. Gonna do Hera first, then come back, just because that's easier than climbing the mountain again to get to the top for Hera.
Yeah, absolutely. Spiral Cave is just super out of the way.
Yep. And chat's also giving us a gentle reminder that we got a bottle earlier. We can go check this.
Ah, yes, sick kid. That's a really annoying item to have to go back for. That's one of those, again, with it being the Moon Pearl missing, I'd be inclined to go check it if we still don't have a Moon Pearl coming off the mountain. But if it was a hammer or a glove, well, never mind. There's the Moon Pearl, so no Aga required today.
Yep, that's close enough to Vanilla Pearl for me.
Yep, and Aga's just gonna sit there chilling in his tower waiting for nothing to happen, and we're not gonna kill him.
Yep. We do see Osse, he had the hook shot, but opted not to do any sort of Hera pot here. I'm not terribly familiar with his habits. I know that a lot of runners prefer boots-based setups for that, and we don't have those.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he doesn't do. I mean, it doesn't save a ton of time when you have that big key, and it can lose you time if you don't do it quickly. So, no reason to go for it if you're not super comfortable and super practiced at it, especially without the boots. And he's gonna do a bomb jump across. He should be able to get this. That looks right. And there might still be something in the basement because that small key did decide to show up for us.
Yep. So, Molder, I'm either going to drop the last dungeon item or drop the last actual item. And I kind of think that these guys might be inclined to skip the basement if there's something there at this point. Just because we've got the full Dark World ahead of us.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Furaime's showing us the Hera pot.
Okay, that position should be good. Yep.
The irony I find with the Hera pot, and let's see what, and Osse gets a map. So there's an item in the basement. Thanks, game. Is that when it's going to save you the most time is when it's the most dangerous to use, because of course if it's going to save you a ton of time, it's because the big key is hiding there behind the fire source, and you could be orphaning an item in the big chest.
Yeah, but I think in that case, you just go back in afterwards, same as Osse might have done here for the item in the basement, but he chose not to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's going to do Spiral Cave, though.
Yeah, I think that this makes sense. Just it's harder to get back to Spiral Cave than it is to Hera Basement if the mirror shows up specifically. If it doesn't, then you just shrug and laugh.
Yeah, he could have also done Spike Cave, but it's even easier to get back to Spike Cave later than it is to get back to the basement zone.
Yeah, and right now we don't have an invincibility item for Spike Cave. I don't think 6 hearts and a fairy in a bottle is good enough to brute force it.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, 14 hearts is about the minimum you can survive with it, so you might be able to do it with a fairy in a bottle just because you get some iframes on the fairy, but it's definitely not something I would chance if I were either of them. Not when you have a better option of the spiral cave.
Yep, and we see Furaime taking the same choice that Osse did, skipping that basement item, going for Spiral Cave. And on Osse's side, it's gonna be Hype Cave. And then probably towards the big game, but maybe, actually no, probably towards Pod. We've got Bow, Hammer, Lamp. It's a crystal. Turtle Rock's a 5/6 crystal. Thief's Town's a pendant. Ice Palace is a green pendant. So, yeah, I would be...
Yeah, go to Pod. I would go to Pod with this loadout.
Yeah, for sure. Going to Pod also lets them loop in a Pyramid Ledge check here. So that's something if you think your opponent might have gambled on Aga, although that's not actually possible with the loadout we have. That second sword there is in the Dark World. There's the mirror.
Oh, that's actually really good for Osse because now he's gonna be able to do Pod and Eastern together, and he'll gain he won't. I mean, he won't gain it all the time that he lost by having to dip it the first time and not being able to finish it the first time. But he'll gain a lot of that back by being able to just do both dungeons right now.
Yeah, definitely heavily mitigates that time loss. Just because instead of having to go through the dungeon a second time and walk to the dungeon a second time from Link's house or from wherever, you only have to do the dungeon a second time.
Is going to check the Pyramid Ledge right now. You're never going to be closer to it, so you might as well do it now. I should say never until get the 5/6 crystal, but with one of those 5/6 crystals being on Turtle Rock, it just makes it less likely that Pyramid Fairy is going to be something that the runners are going to end up doing. Doesn't mean it can't happen. It certainly has, certainly can.
Yeah, like at this point, it's one of those things. We've actually got both rods. We just need mitts, a cane, and an appropriate medallion, and we could get in there and do it.
Yep.
And our other 5/6 crystal was Eastern, which Furaime already has. Osse gonna have after he does Palace of Darkness here, so not very far off.
Now, one big difference is the differences right now between the two runners. Furaime with that extra sword, sitting there in Agina's cave that Osse may or may not ever get. Osse with a fire rod that he got at Zora, which Furaime will get because, I mean, Skullwoods is a crystal, Turtle Rock is a crystal, so it's going to be hard required. But we don't know how long it's going to be before he gets over there.
Honestly, I have a slight hunch, maybe an expectation, but we'll call it a hunch, that Furaime is going to walk out of Pod, walk to Catfish, and then mirror to Zora from there, and probably splash delete into the Waterfall Cave.
That'd be very reasonable.
Yeah, because
if you're good at that, if you're good at that splash deletion, then that's a pretty decent play to just do right now and just get that area over with right now and not have to worry about it anymore.
Yep, and having mirror in hand with Zora not checked is just one of the ways to make that Catfish check not completely painful.
Yep. Osse could do the same thing, but for him it would only be 3 checks. It'd be the Catfish and the Waterfall Cave.
Yeah, so a little less appealing for him, but Furaime, if he does want to take that mirror up to Catfish, does have a quick way to get to that fire rod. So.
Of course, Pod doing its normal job of giving us a bunch of big small keys in the front. And it is a bow-locked Pod for what it's worth, since we did see that big key in the first chest.
Yep, big key in the first chest, 2 small keys on the right, meaning that at least 2 of the bridge chests, the vanilla big key chest overlooking, and the Stalfos basement chest, 2 of those guaranteed to be keys. All 3 of them very well could be, though. Because Pod, like you said, a lot of keys in the front, guaranteed to be 4 minimum. Could be more, could be all 6 if you really wanted to, but that's not going to be today.
Yeah, it happens every once in a while. It's pretty uncommon, though.
Yeah, not... It's pretty rare, I think. I haven't seen it very much lately. But it is kind of the the final form of the joke, so to speak.
Yeah. All right. Here we might actually get an item. Hey, an ether, which may or may not be useful. Another one of those TBD items, as I like to call them. Ether's a nice medallion. It's actually my favorite medallion. I think it's the most versatile in terms of what it gets you. Because it's really nice for a lot of the enemies that it just one-shots that you otherwise wouldn't have one-shot. Bombos just takes longer for those. And for I'm just going to go back to the to Helmsor first and then come back, which I kind of like that too. I would especially like this play without the mirror. With the mirror, I think it's still good. I think it's just pretty much the same. Whether you do it first or you do it last, unless you're just going to not do the rest of pod. I can't see him not doing the rest of pod though.
Yeah, still need way too many items at this point, and pod has too many items itself for that to be a play that I would understand coming from him. But it does kind of mean that we get to see all the checks kind of together instead of Furaime came in after Osse, so it's just Osse's making all the checks. So that's a little interesting as a viewer, but doesn't make a real difference all the time, like you said.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and see. There's going to be an item in here. Usually with 2 keys, there's not an item, but usually you haven't already opened up the maze there. And it's not an item, it's a compass. So, but a non-small key.
Yeah, and I think that compass guarantees Helmsor is going to be dropping an item for us.
Yeah, I think we've seen the map, so I think that's correct.
I think that map was in the Dark Maze, so there we go. That's exploding Helmsor King.
And just heart piece, so really nothing doing in pod.
Well, that ether I think has a strong chance of coming into play with both medallion dungeons being crystals.
Yeah, so maybe something doing in pod.
Yeah, I think it's probably about an 80% chance, just intuitively.
Yeah, a lot of people like to call it, think of it as like 1 in 3 for each medallion, but that's not entirely true, because if for whatever medallion is necessary for those dungeons has to show up, and the other ones don't. So the other ones could just be in GT. So if you see a medallion, it just makes it that much more likely that it becomes useful. Now I say that, and then you go to a dungeon where you have 2 of the medallions, and the third one is the one you need. That certainly does happen all the time.
Yeah, but when that does happen, you do also know that it's out in the world to be found still.
Yep. Okay, Osse going to be in his Helmsor fight. He's got only the fighter sword. Not going to make too big a difference. He can finish it off with the bow. Osse also proficient using the hammer if he wants to finish Helmsor off. Does run the all dungeons category, which is about what the loadout he has is. Actually, that might even be only 5 hearts if I recall. So.
Yeah, 5 hearts actually sounds correct there. I'm not super well versed in the category, but I do know Helmsor is among the first things you do in that category, so.
He did decide to switch over to the bow to finish him off.
Got a couple of good hits in there with that hammer, and then just finishing it with the bow for safety. And that puts him on 7 hearts.
Okay, since I brought it up and chat's asking what's the difference between all dungeons and NMG, both do all the dungeons as you might expect, but all dungeons category is a restricted major glitch category. So there's some fun glitches that associated with it that I'm not going to go into, but if you get a chance to watch an AD run, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's a pretty fascinating category. It does feature a large amount of tech that you will not see in probably 95% of rando races, especially ones that you see streamed here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely interesting. It's a very different way to look at the game.
Okay, Furaime's done with Pod. Not going to go to Catfish like you suggested. Let's see where he goes. Going to go to Sanctuary.
Probably wants to restart his Dark World routing at the Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then loop that down back around towards Hype Cave. Maybe do stuff like pick up the Smith in the purple chest if he finds the mitts along the way.
Yeah, Smith's Chain not too bad with that mirror if we do get those myths.
Oh yeah, not at all. Like some people like to say flute, but that really only comes into play if you have already checked the South Dark World.
Yep.
Otherwise, you just walk the chest.
He will have the advantage, though. He will probably just go straight to Skull Woods and do that dungeon. And then he'll have some decisions to make there. You know, how much of Village Outcast does he do Thieves Town? They'll both have to decide what to do Thieves Town.
Yeah, I figure we'll probably see front 4 from both. Any
Most
more
likely.
than that would be aggressive.
Very nice quick kill from Osse. Gets his 50 rupees.
I didn't think he was in position for that with the way he was faced to the left for most of the fight, but he got it. He got turned around, and well done.
And he'll save and quit. I fully expect him to go to Sanctuary. He might do a Skullwoods back to front, although with a fighter sword, he might choose to do it front to back.
Yeah,
And hope he finds a sword before he goes to Mothula.
yeah, unless he's got concerns about the Mothula fight specifically, back to front is pretty much always the most efficient way to do Skull Woods when you need to kill them off anyways.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing I would probably do, but we'll see. I don't know if Osse would do this, is check that first chest in the front. The one that you can just easily get to. And see if it's an item. Like the one that Furaime is going to get to right now.
Yeah.
And it's just a compass, so yeah, if he does that, he'll just mirror on out and move on to the back, I think.
Yeah, and then there is also that middle chest, which for this purpose is pretty much lumped in with the back just because you walk right by it.
Yep. It looks like it was a key on Furaime's side, because I didn't see him go steal the other key.
Yeah, that looks right to me. Now, this could be a map, could be an item, could be a big key leading to either.
It is an item. It's a unique item.
Game.
Referencing the old hint system. But yeah, nothing that he wants right now. Nothing that helps him right now.
Yeah.
Second item will either be in the back or the big key will be in under the bridge and lead us to the front. Actually, no. Actually, the big key can be on Moth. It's a small key that can't be on Moth.
Right. And I was wondering if Furaime was going to walk out of the woods and go check like Bumper Ledge Graveyard or Bumper Cave Graveyard Ledge works, but he didn't. He's got a blue cane instead.
Yeah, he may choose just to not check it until he can either loop it in with the boots checks or actually have a cape to actually be able to get the item should it be something he wants. One good thing for Furaime is Osse, assuming he does choose to full clear this dungeon, his last item will be in that chest in the pinball room, so they're not going to lose as much time as he otherwise would.
Yeah, is going to check everything in the dungeon anyways. So actually, I guess I'm not going to call it a time save for Furaime if Moth has the item, and he doesn't have to check the bridge chest, because he still has to walk back to the dungeon a second time. But a little bit of mitigating factor there, kind of like Osse getting to do Eastern with the mirror.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. Also, we see a Quake medallion in Village Outcasts. Now, Osse's going to go into this fight with really good health, and I do believe he's got a fairy and a green potion, so he could use that green potion to be able to use more fire rod shots if he likes. He could, and of course, he'll have that fairy as the backup.
Has the hammer on now, though, so that seems to be his main weapon of choice here. I think he's only that second one counted, though.
Good old Mothula spike hits.
Pretty sure he's on 3 good hits, so just one more clean one will do it.
There it is. Nicely done. And it's the map, so the bridge chest has either the big key or the other item.
Yeah, I don't think Osse would care strongly, but for Furaime, it would be pretty obnoxious if it were the big key when he gets back there.
Oh, absolutely. For Osse, he's going to go do the front anyway.
And then on Furaime's side, we've seen a small key and a compass so far in Thieves Town. Big key's going to be either this chest or the next. Okay.
Well, medallions are not going to be an issue, it looks like. Unless Osse decides to skip Thieves Town entirely. Looks like Furaime's going to keep going. One item in the front of Thieves I could see going to the back. Looks like that's that other mail upgrade or silver arrows there under the bridge, because that was a green 20. And we haven't maxed anything else out.
Yep. I thought Furaime was trying to take a death warp there, but I guess he just got bunny beamed by mistake. So, gonna grab this heart, use the hook shot when you pull it in. It can sometimes, I think there's a mechanic to it that I'm not really sure about, occasionally give you double hearts.
It does every once in a while. I think it's only like 10%, but it really is nice when it does happen. And I guess the big key is just locked in the big chest and we're never going to open it.
Yeah, which is just as well, because it just saves both the runners from a little bit of backtracking there.
There's a single arrow for Osse. He's going to leave and never return.
And Furaime has made it to the attic. There's 3 items and 1 dungeon item left to be found at this point.
And that's a piece of heart that we don't really care about.
Yeah, it's not nothing when we're only on 7 hearts, but it definitely is not much. Osse saw some boots.
Osse saw some boots. But we may not be boots required, and who knows if we're ever going to see that cape. That's a terrible place to see the boots when you don't have a boots requirement, I think. If desert were crystal, I'd be like, okay, so we're probably going to see the cape somewhere. We'll go get the boots. And now it's like, okay, where is that cape going to be? And will it be worth my time to go grab those boots once I get that cape?
Yeah, because as it is now, that's just a massive tease for Osse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's literally just taunting him.
Yep. Oh, speaking of capes. Well, I guess Furaime's going to get that. We'll see if Osse goes to the back of the... If Osse does decide to clear Thieves Town, he probably will get those boots. If not, probably doesn't.
Yeah, and this reminds me of a previous race in this group. One of the Furaime Kappa races came down to boots and some other progression in the back of Pendant Thieves Town that both runners skipped for a very long time until they got funneled back in. And after the race, I know Furaime was quite unhappy with the late boots. So may be a bit happier with this once he gets up to Bumper Ledge.
We do see Sick Kid with nothing interesting.
Yeah, I think we saw that on Furaime's side earlier just before we entered Thieves Town.
Okay.
It's nothing, so forgetting about it makes sense.
It does.
And then, yeah, after this, the big questions. Will Osse full clear Thieves Town, or will he nope out after the front 4? And where will Furaime go? Will that cape pull him up to the Bumper Ledge and the Graveyard Ledge?
I'm blind. It was another 20. So I think all our mail and bow upgrades are now taken care of.
Yep, we have not capped out anything else that would turn stuff into a green 20 yet.
Now, Osse has a little more information in terms of items that he doesn't have a whole lot left after this, so he might be inclined to finish this when he sees there's only 1 item in the front.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. But we do see Furaime about to get his boots here. I do think he's really going to be happy with this.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially because with the boots being this location in particular, you were talking earlier about looping these checks in with the boots checks.
Yep.
using that mirror.
Yep. Now we can do that. Okay, Osse not mirroring out, so I guess he's going to finish Thieves Town as well.
Okay, so he's going to be happy with that too, I think, because no one gets sad to see the boots in Rando.
No, not at all.
A rule of the universe. And he knows they're there, so he gets to be happier for longer. Even if
he'll get that. Yeah, he'll get that cape, and he'll. I wonder if I mean, there was an item on blind. We'll see if Osse maybe is a little aggressive and decides to skip the blind fight. It is a pendant, so the only way that blind fight is necessary now that we know what the item is if Ped is a thing. Let's see. Can we even have Ped? Ice Palace is a pendant, so flippers can't be there. It would have to be a flute or the Cane of Samaria.
Yep, and there are logical restrictions to Ice Palace that, depending on its key layout and specifically whether Coldstare is holding one, could block the cane from being there.
That's right.
So yeah, we're primarily looking at the flute here for the pedestal, and that would also require the book to show up somewhere so we could get into desert.
Yep, that's right. Okay, nothing in Bonk Rocks.
Nope, still got Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb. And actually, this is another chance for Furaime to get the catfish.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Could do that whole catfish Zora check we talked about earlier.
Yeah, no flippers.
Would have to do a current jump to get over there, but I suspect he can do that if he wants to.
Yes. Pretty sure I've seen him do it before.
Or he could go back to the Lost Woods and set up a water walk. That is another option.
Yeah.
If you're good at the current jump, that's the way you would do it. But if you're not good at it and you really want to get over there, you might be just better off setting up that water walk. We'll see what he does. Osse gets his cape. Looks like he is going to continue on.
Yeah, because from his perspective, the last item could be in the big chest, which is only a couple screens here. Yep. And if you're going to check that, there's no reason not to grab the Maiden, and that's the mid-sing King's Tomb. That's a little bit rude, but right in the way with the way the boots were this seed.
I thought maybe that might distract Furaime from doing the rest of these checks, but it looks like nope, he's going to keep going.
Yeah, and this is really good for him, because even if Catfish is junk, he's going to get his Fire Rod off Zora. Little early on his jumps here, though, and I think he was positioned a little low as well, so yeah, he's just abandoning that.
I can switch over the Ancil with Big Flipper.
But his variable is screwed up because of his previous arrow spam to kill the Armos Knights, so I think he's too low.
Okay, he's going to give up on this for now.
Yeah, unfortunate, but it does make sense. No point in using up all your bombs when you just got 2 big items.
He'll do Dark Death Mountain instead.
Gonna be really sad if the cane is up here, though.
Okay, Osse finishing up blind will no doubt do all these checks that Furaime just did and get his boots. We'll see what he chooses to do next.
I gotta imagine he follows into the boots checks and Graveyard Ledge, and then from there, we've got the Smith into South Dark World stuff. We've got Dark Death Mountain. Don't really have that much else, though.
We have Ice Palace.
Green Pendant Ice Palace. That is 4 items.
But we don't logically have Ice Palace, so...
It exists.
It exists. It does. It could have... The cane could be there. We do need the flippers. Yeah, I think we're going to find some stuff on Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm not a fan of fake flippering into Ice Palace when you need the flippers for Swamp regardless.
Yeah, same. Especially if Ice Palace is that pendant.
Yeah, like if it were the other way around, then yeah, fake flipper into Ice all day, every day.
Oh, absolutely. But absolutely.
Not with this layout.
We also have we seen any of the other South Dark World checks? I don't think so. The like K45.
No, we haven't. I would expect to see that
big game
with the Smith chain on both sides. Because both runners went Hype Cave straight to pod.
Yep. And there's that cane. So if Osse goes straight to the mountain, he's just going to go to Turtle Rock right now.
Yeah. The only complication for Aussie is that he's still on one sword, but he's got a hammer to handle that. He's also got the fire rod for killing pokies.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he'll hesitate to go in and clear that dungeon unless there's some circumstance I'm not aware of.
No, Osse would definitely not hesitate to go into Turtle Rock in this situation. Especially get a second fairy.
Yeah. That and then the green potion on top. He'll be in great shape. And Turtle Rock, very rich dungeon, just on sheer item count, and is the second 5/6 crystal. Looks like Furaime's going to take the dip. Depending on where keys are, if there are no keys in the roller room on the right side, then Furaime could get all the way to Laser Bridge here.
Which would be unfortunate because we know he's not going to find the fire rod there, which is a thing that can and has happened. I don't think we've seen it in this tournament yet. I know we saw it in the league last fall.
Yeah, small key there means that we can at least get the chain chomps.
You know, this is my favorite situation is if you can just get one small key and then get gated at chain chomps, because that way when you come back here, you don't have to do this again.
Yeah, that's actually not too bad. Obviously, killing that Pokey with no Fire Rod, no Tempered Sword, very far from ideal, but that's how it is.
Okay, Osse going for it and getting the current jump, so he's going to get Catfish and Waterfall Fairy.
Waterfall Fairy depends on whether he can splash delete it properly.
Yep. Well, I know he has the ability to do it, so I expect him to go for it. And Furaime did get gated at a Turtle Rock at exactly, like I said, exactly the right place to get gated.
Yep, so he's just going to do Spike Cave here, and this is another check that some runners just don't do.
This is the perfect time for him to do it, so... No, I did not fall into... Nice toss, Osse. Didn't quite get in there.
Yeah, inside the circle, not on the circle, I'm sorry.
And a blue boomerang. And a green 20.
Are we already at the point for green 20?
I guess. I would have thought.
Are we out of heart pieces already? Have we not picked up a single container?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm trying to think what else it could be. We don't have 2 shields. We don't have 3 swords.
Yeah, I don't think we picked up a single heart container this seed.
But right.
Or actually, no, it would be 1 because we're on 8 hearts.
Okay, nothing in Waterfall Fairy. Osse's thinking about it. Looks like he's headed up to the mountain, which means he's probably going to go do all of Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and just to recap for chat a little bit since they're talking about it, we've seen 3 green 20s already before this. Those are your mail upgrades and your silver arrows. So at this point, it's got to be a heart piece, I would imagine, which is absolutely wild to think about when we're only on 8 hearts.
Yeah, but you know what? If you're right and we haven't picked up a heart container, which I believe you are, that's exactly 16 heart pieces. So there you go.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen someone max out heart pieces before they got their first container. Furaime has 1 more heart container, so you must have gotten one somewhere. Probably in these checks here.
1 container, 16 pieces. Absolutely wild.
That's even with leaving some heart pieces behind. No, there's that heart piece right there for Osse. Now I'm really confused.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
He may have just not gotten some other heart piece that Furaime did? Question mark? I can't imagine.
Yeah, but he's the one that saw the green 20. No, it was Furaime saw the green 20. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, the green 20 in Spiral.
The green 20 was in Spike Cave. The Waterfall Fair had money and not much of it. Osse gets his cane, so he's going to be able to go straight into Turtle Rock.
Yep, and I've got to imagine that he is headed in there right now.
Oh, absolutely. Osse's definitely not afraid of a fighter sword, Turtle Rock. And there's a book. Remember we were saying about well, okay, so now it would be only
Flute.
Flute would be, yeah, Flute's the only one. And that's what we were saying earlier, that it would most likely be Flute because of Ice Palace having that possibility of being gated by Canis Mario.
Yeah, but at this point, we can do pretty much everything in the game that's not in the Mire area. Nice vanilla sword. So,
Okay.
odds of Ped, pretty low.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Furaime's going to have a 2-sword advantage now over Osse. Osse still hasn't found a second sword. You will have to get at least one more to finish the game. One is in Agina, one is, we just saw it at the Smiths.
Yeah, I don't think he'll miss that Smith one for very long, especially if the flute and flippers stay elusive.
Yeah, actually, I don't think he's going to miss well, if he doesn't get if he gets the flute before doing the Smith chain, he won't miss the one in Agina, because he'll probably check that area. Because he still will be looking for a sword, and he's still looking for flippers.
Yeah, it's just the sooner he finds those items, the less likely he is to get that Agina sword.
Yep. Purple chest with just 5 rupees.
And then Furaime was taking that Dark World portal so that he could route in the Bombos tablet here with it, putting that book to immediate use. We'll see if he walks in the desert afterwards.
Yeah, 2 items. It is a pendant dungeon.
It is a fairly fast dungeon, and hey, that's required. We need those.
Ooh, yep, we do need those.
Wonder if that'll pull him towards Zora at all. Because remember, Furaime has done 0 flipper checks of any sort.
Yeah, this might be the exact thing that takes him to Zora. Or maybe he just goes into Swamp.
I mean, yeah, it is the Crystal Dungeon you can fully clear.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like this play. I don't like Swamp Palace much, but I do like the play of going to it here, especially with flippers on Bombos.
Yep. And we probably will see a full clear of this. It's just a question of whether he does the back first. He's missing 2 items, so go -1, typically you're going to go to the back first. Go -2, a little more questionable whether you go to the back first or do left side first. Has the Canis Mario have to do a very easy diver down to get to make it faster to go left side first. But I always say, faster does not mean fast. It's still a very slow check.
Yeah, we see on Osse's side a vanilla big key and Turtle Rock, which means there is not very much concept of go-moding that dungeon.
Go-mo Turtle Rock just so... A good go-mo Turtle Rock just doesn't happen very often.
No, but it was potentially in the cards for Furaime here because we have not seen the flute yet. And so if he finds that before going back.
Yep.
But with that big key being vanilla, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, maybe he gets to skip some of Laser Bridge. That's the best you can do at this point.
Yeah, and that's such a marginal time save compared to being able to skip that lava chest.
Mm-hmm.
Osse at go -2 is checking the Mimic Cave first. It's kind of similar to what you were saying about Swamp Palace earlier. If you go -1, you check the big chest first, come back for Mimic Cave. But just 20.
And of course, there is one more sword out there that Osse could find. Could be in Turtle Rock, could be in GT.
Yep. Until we see it, could be anywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nearest diver down from Furaime. Because of the way he bombed the switch and then went through the door before the switch actually changed after the bomb explosion, the switch didn't actually change till he returned to that room, which lets him flood and recover the key, and come back and have everything exactly as he wants it. Some left side swamp here for Furaime. Coming up on Laser Bridge for Osse, but still a few seconds away. That's one item. Two items.
Okay, and there's a place where Osse might be able to save some time. He'll be go -1 at worst when he goes into Swamp Palace. So I'm probably not gonna do left side first. So if the flute is in the back here, probably gonna skip that whole left side swamp. And we do not see anything in Turtle Rock yet. I don't know though, have we gotten both map and compass? Because I'm not sure if there's an item on Trinex or not. Either way, it's a crystal. You're gonna do it.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen both, but I've been paying more attention to Furaime's checks in Swamp. But yeah, it's Swamp Palace is pretty much as you said. If the flute is in the back, that's very good for Osse. He'll skip left side and he'll go on and just go. However, if there is no flute back here, 2 items on the left side is kind of scary to leave behind. Mm-hmm. Could definitely see him doing it, but it's not nearly as clear cut.
Osse just going to do fire rod damage on the ice head here, and then switch to the hammer.
And we see on Osse's menu that he has both map and compass to Trinex one last shot at an item here.
And he'll finish Trinex off with the hammer.
Yeah, compared to Fighter Sword, that makes too much sense, really.
Yep.
5 hits here. Unfortunately, hammer means you can't get any double hits like you would with Tempered Sword spins on the head at the very start of this phase. But still makes it look really nice and easy.
And gets a sword! Okay, so now if he does either one of those other checks, he's going to get his Tempered Sword.
Yeah, and I have to...
Still no flute. Where's the flute? Oh god, it's probably in Ice Palace. Or in Desert. Oof.
Yeah, it could be in either of those locations. Could be in the Pyramid Fairy. Turtle Rock was the other 5-6.
No, that's right.
Furaime almost got the Zero Cycle. Actually, that was Zero Cycle, wasn't it? It didn't start spinning.
Very nice. Osse gonna finish us off with Spike Cave. We know that's nothing.
Yeah, like, the meanest thing I can say about Furaime's Argus fight there, at least the first phase, is that it wasn't literally perfect. Second phase, he did 2 spins, wasn't able to use the Ice Rod for a quick kill, but still went pretty well other than that.
So, just kind of recapping, what do we have left? We do have Ether Tablet now that we know where the book is. They did both leave an item in Hera.
Yes, Hera Basement. Hera Basement.
And then I do believe after that is our Pendant Dungeons. It looks like Furaime's getting over that direction. Probably going to do the Flippers checks first. So he'll get his Fire Rod.
Yeah.
Osse looks like he's going to do some of these South Dark World checks. So probably going to get his Flippers, which means he's going to full clear Swamp.
Osse doesn't have the book yet, and if he's doing things this way, he might not be as inclined to do.
Oh, that's right.
Like, I understand him approaching this south to north, but it is a little awkward knowing that the book is in hammer pegs.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like Furaime is doing his flipper checks here, although he's...
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the hobo yet. It's supposed to be a new one.
Oh wait, I know what Furaime's doing. He's mirroring here and coming to hobo here. He'll hop back into his mirror portal, he'll run to catfish.
Yeah, that'd work.
And then after that, he'll probably go to Turtle Rock, actually, with his newfound Fire Rod.
You think he'll go to Turtle Rock first, or you think he'll do Skullwoods first?
Actually, yeah, Skullwoods is an item and a crystal. But it's going to be both, and it's just a matter of ordering, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I might do Skullwoods first. He's just missing that flute. On the off chance the flute is just sitting there in Skullwoods, we know it's not. Then you can finish with Turtle Rock before you go into before you end the game, which is always ideal. We know that can't happen for him. I mean, it could. There's nothing in Turtle Rock, but yeah, I can't see putting off Turtle Rock beyond that.
Can't say there's nothing in Turtle Rock yet. Got Osse carrying.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. We do have this big bomb that Osse's dragging.
Yeah, and he is putting off the Smith chain for this, which means delaying his book, means delaying his flippers. But if this pays off with a flute, could be real interesting.
Ouch. It's still to be determined. Powder, a really nice safety, though. So definitely, it doesn't. If you're going to get a fetch quest item, that's the one you want to get, in my opinion.
Yeah,
just don't put a shovel on the bat. I know, chat, that's what you want, but no, don't do it.
Yeah, and we have Osse. He's taking a little bit of a reverse of the vanilla NMG route here. In the vanilla speedrun, you come down the mountain, and then you go through those screens he just did in reverse to get to the castle for Aghanim. But he's using them to get back to Kakariko. Looks like he wants to lump the magic bat check in with his smith chain, not going directly for it.
I mean, ideally, that's what you do, so. So he'll get his tempered sword, so we'll be all even up on swords, which is good. I find in hard mode the difference between Master Sword and Tempered Sword is a little more stark because of the fact that no one's ever going to have silvers. He is going to do the dig game first, because the dig game does not like you to have followers.
Yeah, and he's one screen away from it. This is definitely best time to do it.
And Furaime is going to go ahead and do Skullwoods first, like I suggested. Like you said, doesn't make a huge difference, but for him, on the off chance he finds the flute here, that would be a better outcome.
Yeah, and just to satisfy chat, he can mirror and check the pedestal after killing Mothula.
There you go.
Actually,
I'm sure chat would. I think that would be a thing to do.
Yeah, because if that does turn up flute, then suddenly Furaime doesn't have to go to Turtle Rock.
Yep.
Yeah, Osse about to get his book here out of the hammer pegs, and then just the question, when does he go to Bombos? Does he do it with the purple chest turn in, like I kind of imagine he would, like Furaime did?
I mean, I think it's got to be the thing he does next. I'm not sure what else he has. I mean, he's got Ether Tablet, but that's even more out of the way. He may not drag it all the way there, though. He might just save and quick, turn in the purple chest, and just walk back over to the portal. I think that might, with boots, that might be the better way to go.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Furaime did it too. But the alternative here is just going to Ice Palace and not checking Bombo's tablet. But even that's just a fake flipper into ice that you don't know is in logic.
Yeah. And we're going to see that powder check. So this could be, if this is the flute.
While Osse was doing that, we saw a really, really good Furaime, or Moth kill from Furaime. Using those poke dashes really well, and that fight was just over in a blink.
Alright, just a green 20 for Osse.
Yeah, so Turtle Rock turning out to be nothing.
Which in the end is fine for Osse because Furaime's going to do that next. I don't know how you don't just full clear a 5-item Turtle Rock. Or I guess, no, he got a small key and 1 item?
Yeah, he got a small key and he got the half magic.
Okay, so Osse's going to do the thing where you just leave the purple chest and run. This is probably fine too.
Yeah, he's already checked K45 here, so he has no mirror checks along the way.
I don't like that he's got the mirror on his menu. That would scare me. I don't want to have anything but the mirror.
Furaime's not
mirror
going
too
to
early.
Rock.
Not going to Turtle. Okay.
Not going to Turtle Rock. Furaime is not going to Turtle Rock.
Let's see where he does go.
He's going to Ice Palace. Might be going to Desert, but he's going to Ice Palace. You didn't see him read the ped, did you?
I did not see him read the ped.
You did not see him read the ped.
Ah, yeah. Well, chat's telling me I should have seen him read the ped.
Yep. So Furaime is in go mode, actually.
Yep. Yes, he is.
This is actually go mode for him because he knows where the last item he needs is. The only thing he needs is the keys to beat the pendant dungeons.
So we'll see if Osse goes ahead and because he's going to have to do these same things. We'll see if he checks the ped first. Unfortunately for him, it's way out of the way.
Yeah, I don't see any way he checks ped here, having just received the book and having already killed Mothula. There is no good time for him to do it. So he'll full clear Desert and Mire. Or not Desert Mire, but Desert Nice.
Desert Nice.
Might even, no, he can't dip Mire without that flute.
Yeah, I laugh because the only way that flute can be in Misery Mire is if this were an SMZ3 seed and Osse, the best in the world at that game. So, but he knows there's no Super Metroid in this game, so he's not going to be looking for a flute in Mire.
Yeah, I've heard he's pretty good at that one. Just a rumor, though.
And to answer chat, there were 2 items on left side, so pretty likely he does go there.
Yep, it was a small amount of cash and some bombs, if I remember right, but it was
crap.
Nothing.
It was nothing to write home of. Now, he is still up at Turtle Rock, so this isn't by any means over. Depending on where the items are in these other dungeons, we'll see what happens. And Osse, I know for me, if I'm to the point where I'm dipping pendant dungeons, I would check Ped. I don't know what Osse's feelings on that are, so we'll see what he does after he full clear Swamp. I don't see any way he doesn't full clear Swamp, though.
Yeah, just one item from Go Mode. Honestly, I think that there's a case to be made here. You're dipping pendant dungeons, one item from Go Mode. You're ready to just mirror out as soon as you find it. Like, I'm not sure Ped's really on your mind at this point. It was more of a check of convenience for Furaime than anything, but it did pay off so well for him.
Furaime already almost done with Ice Palace. Ice Palace is a very quick dungeon when you can go mode it.
Yep, and Desert, not really any slower. Like, if the big key is vanilla, then yeah, that's bad. But if it's pretty much anywhere else, it's pretty good to go mode too. Especially just because it's such a short dungeon in general.
And unfortunately, with Ice Palace being a small key, that's going to... Okay, never mind. Ice Palace is the green pendant, so I think Osse finishes that one regardless. Desert is going to be a little bit more tricky, depending on whether it has an item or not.
Yeah, it does ultimately mean as Osse gets his diver down here pretty nicely. Didn't even have to jump into the water for it, which is always...
Yeah, when you do it on the left side like that, you don't have to jump into the water.
Yeah, it just requires a little bit of precision on your inputs there. But what this ultimately comes down to, Osse is going to, unless he goes back and just checks Ped, which he has no real reason to do.
Oh no, I argue you got the book. You're about to dip pendant dungeons. I would absolutely 100% pick check Ped, but I'm not in this tournament, so I am definitely not one of the top 128 players out there. So certainly wouldn't blame Osse if he didn't do it.
Yeah, it's just a time sink that I think is really hard to justify when you can just go directly to the dungeons, play the odds, set your items in there, and you can just leave afterwards without even having to finish.
Yeah. Chat saying there's no good way to get to Ped. I tend to disagree. You've got boots. You can go from from Sanctuary.
Problem is, what are you going to do afterwards? Just save and quit?
Yeah.
I can see it. It's slow and it feels bad for what is ultimately a very low percentage play in Osse's situation.
Well, we'll see what he does. But I expect him first to go back into Swamp Palace.
Yep. Missing the map and 2 items. Those items are on the left side. Map is in the big chest. So. Yep. Meanwhile, Furaime's got his big key, and he is off to the races in the desert.
Yep.
Yeah, chat's actually making a really interesting way of looking at it here. Furaime not getting that fire rod until late is what allowed him to check the Ped.
Yeah, I know.
And what ultimately puts him in such a strong position in this trace. Like, rando gonna rando, but that's one of the most counterintuitive things I have.
I know, right? I do see an interesting point in chat though from Relkin, the idea of just clear the dungeons, and then if it's not Ped, I guess you go back. But But I don't know if we'll see Osse do that either.
Yeah.
I mean, Ice Palace is, I mean, you can get a lot of the items on your way, you know, just maybe skip iced tea, and it's still a pretty fast dungeon.
Yeah, with Icebreaker, it's definitely a faster dungeon than it used to be, especially for the full clear. But he's still going to be full clearing it where Furaime got to go mode it.
Yeah. Yeah, I could still see skipping iced tea, but I definitely don't see him skipping the rest of the locations. And Furaime making quick work of Landmo.
Yep, Tempered Sword, Fire Rod, do that to the worms.
Yep, very quick.
Fire Rod actually does Gold Sword damage to the worms. It's pretty great.
Okay, and unfortunately, we're actually not going to see anything for a little bit here. Hopefully, we can get that stream back up.
Yep, there he is. But Furaime, all 3 pendants in hand, about to go pull his flute.
Yeah, there is the Ice Palace play from Osse.
Yep. He doesn't really have any other options at this point. So
he's got 2 pendant dungeons. Yep. Yeah. That's pretty much what he's got. And we have no idea where the items are in Ice Palace, so except for there is not one on Cold Stir. He will finish that. I didn't see if Landmo had an item. But I think, yeah, he's going to finish both dungeons regardless, because he's going to get the green pendant from Ice. So that's the reason to finish that. And by the time you get to Desert, when you haven't gotten the item you're looking for, you're going to finish it, because now you've got to check for Ped. Because you're basically out of checks otherwise.
Yes, exactly.
And there's that flute.
Yep. He's just going to have to run down and activate it now. Then he'll go to Mire. Then he'll go to Turtle Rock. Then he'll go to Ganon's Tower. And I guess of interest here, Osse actually is on 6 crystals because he beat Turtle Rock earlier.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean as much in the face of clearing stuff that Furaime got to go mode, unfortunately. Also, yeah, I would like to just acknowledge, obviously, technical issues on Osse's side, but big shout-outs to our tracker again, Raylan, keeping everything in order even in spite of that. Awesome guy.
Yeah, and like I like to say, the trackers are the MVPs here. They do all the hard work, and we just get to talk about it.
Yeah, talking is easy when we can just get the state of the race at a glance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess last point of intrigue for now, Quake Medallion. So Furaime going to kill that bird, just so it does not get in the way while this medallion animation's running. So otherwise,
with the Quake Medallion, yeah, that bird will do damage to you if you let it, if you don't kill it first. So.
Yep. The other medallions, Ether will freeze it, the bomb boats will kill it, but Quake only affects things that are on the ground, and birds are not on the ground.
Okay, Osse's gonna route Ice Tea in right away, so he's gonna definitely full clear this.
Yeah, which it's I don't think it's justifiable to not full clear this dungeon in Osse's position. It's just really unfortunate. But he is doing a very good job with it.
Unfortunately, if he had banked on it not having anything, he could have gotten the other. Looks like the other items would have just been on his path. I don't think he'd found any yet, though, at that point.
Yeah, I think that it's Freeze Ore Chest, Big Chest, Boss.
Boss has a small key.
Okay, so Freeze Ore Chest, Big Chest.
So we must have missed an item earlier.
I think there was one in Pengator then.
Shovel. Oh, that's not what he needed to find.
Oh, Godmire. That's something.
Yeah, they're both gonna have the same mire, so that's not really a big deal. Other than if one of them took a quicker route to the big key than the other.
Yeah, like the only way it could have been faster is if it was on the bridge, but that's just the time it takes to check the spike chest, which is not much.
So you'll make quick work with Cold Stare.
Yeah,
The real problem here is, does he turn in the green pendant and check the shovel before going into desert?
Green pendant, probably, because he can just mirror and it's sort of right there. But less sure about the shovel.
Yeah, they're both kind of out of the way. Of course, desert's out of the way too, because he's got to run there.
Yeah, but desert's twice as many items. Maybe three times as many if Osse hasn't seen the ledge. I can't remember that. I don't think he has, though.
No, he hasn't even seen a Gina.
Oh, yeah, you're right, because that's the sword he's missing. He's going to get a green 20 out of it, but...
Yeah, if he checks it, yep.
Yeah, did swim over, is turning in the green pendant right away, as I kind of thought. Furaime, 6 crystals, just got to clear Turtle Rock at this point. We know the big key is vanilla, so the only real skip he'll get to have is Mimic Cave. And third item in Ice Palace, thank you, chat, was a shield. A little baby shield that Osse's carrying. So yeah, nothing there. And I guess it is shovel. Following the logic here for Osse, for whatever it's worth. Also, why is that a bonk on Osse's side? Like, can somebody explain that to me? Why does that bonk? That makes no sense.
I don't know.
Yeah, shovel, and then he's just running down to desert because he's pretty much out of things. Once it's not here, he'll go pull the ped and then he'll go to Mire, but actually with the God Mire, he's not quite as behind as he looks. It's still significant, but it's not as bad as it may have initially seemed. So he's playing well for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get these pretty quickly.
Yeah, desert is by no means a long dungeon.
And at this point, I don't think he even checks Agina. Because he hits the book twice. That's never good. but it's, Agina's a sphere 1 check. He's got to believe that that's the answer. It's just, it would have been game over a long time ago, so.
I mean, he went an hour and 25 plus without checking it.
Yeah.
There's absolutely a world where Furaime does the same, and you just have to check it because you're here and you're so low on other options.
Yeah, he may actually. I mean, it depends. God, if someone can remind me whether there was an item on desert.
I think he's going to go to land mode. Well, actually, with this being a pendant, he might not.
Well, he's going to at least check the big chest.
Yeah, which makes sense.
I could definitely see him going to land mode before doing the right side. And of course, that had to be a small key. But if you're going to go do the right side later, you don't want to have to go dig out the small key. But he's going to do it right now.
Yeah, of course, there is no real bad placement for the small key with the big key on torch if you go to land those first. Because the small key is either in the big chest, which is right there, you'll grab on the way, you're going to check that anyways. Yep. Or it's in the middle chest, which again, same story.
Okay, that's both items. And he's not going to Agina. Looks like he is heading back. Unfortunately, the mirror would just take him to the front, and he wants to go to the left side.
Yeah. That's the problem with using the book to get into this dungeon. It makes routing all sorts of awkward if you have the mirror.
Yeah, but if we were going to be able to get here through this entrance, we wouldn't be in here. So.
Yep. Kind of a silly dungeon.
If I remember correctly, the last small key was was an early chest. It was not the last chest in Laser Bridge. So unless Furami's one of those people that routes the Laser Bridge from back to front, he's going to be able to skip most of it.
I mean, if he takes the safety door, he's going to be checking it from first to last.
That's true.
And honestly, in this mode with green mail with only 10 hearts, the safety door is pretty good play, even if you're confident in yourself. Definitely no issues at all with taking that. Although, yeah, actually, chat's raising a good point here. Osse killing Landmo for guaranteed not an item.
Yep.
Might not check Akina after all.
No, I think he's going straight to Ped with this.
Yeah, which is good because increasing his rupee count from 1244 to 1264 not going to do anything for him at this stage.
Nope, not at all.
Or he's going to check.
No, he's going to check it first. He can save and quit out of this, so.
Yeah, I guess really if he went to Agena before Landmo's, he would have had to go all the way through the dungeon to get back.
That's true.
So, yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking silly. Yeah, at this point, like, in Osse's situation, there's really not much reason to leave any check on the board.
He's only got one left, so.
Yep. And there's
yeah, like I said, not going to have to check the rest of the laser bridge.
Yeah, so that's a good few seconds there.
Yeah, you also save time not having to check Mimic Cave. Won't have that powder for the extra safety, but shouldn't need it.
Yeah, like powder not having that means you can't get that refill off the anti-fairy and the bunny beam in the pre-Moldorm room.
Yep.
But we've got 2 fairies in bottles anyways, so it's not a huge issue unless Furaime winds up burning those. Especially since he did skip the bug net at the dig game earlier. Osse did pick that up.
Yeah, I like skipping the bug net. Not my favorite item.
Yeah, some people love it and swear by it. Some people like just having it to refill their bottles, and then some people just don't care.
Yeah, well, in my case, I've had fairies much more often mess up my death warps than save my life, so.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
But on Osse's side, he did pull that flute off the pedestal, and about an hour and 30 and a couple seconds, he is in go mode now. Just got to go activate it, go to Meyer, go to Ganon's Tower. Meanwhile, Furaime's 7 crystals. Just got to run over to the tower and be on with it. So I guess with the Godmire here for Osse, that's what, maybe 3 or 4 minutes? Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be pretty quick. Would be quicker if we could have silver arrows or something, but you know, he's well versed in NMG strats for killing Landmo with that temper sword, and does have the cape just in case he needs it. Meanwhile, I'm going to go in and we start spewing out numbers.
Yep, chat's been having their fun with that. They're guessing where the big key is. It's not the first chest. It's not the second chest. Furaime gonna go to the right side because he got that key though.
Yeah, probably just gonna go to the compass room. If the big key's not there, probably drops down, gets the small key.
Yep, and also I do want to clear something up for chat a little bit, because on one hand, Osse got the ice rod early by fake flippering with the moon pearl, or without the moon pearl, which took him to Zora, and he couldn't get the waterfall cave. And that meant he had no good chance. Or yeah, got the fire rod, meant he had no good chance to check bed. On the other hand, immediately after getting the cape out of Thieves Town, Furaime went up to Bumper Ledge, got his boots. He tried to kern jump.
Yes, he did.
And if he had succeeded in that, he would have gone to Catfish, near Dezora, gotten his fire rod, and probably would not have had a good time to check bed.
Yep, that's right.
So, race is a bit more complex than just fake flippering with or without the moon pearl, but it is still Osse's early fire rod completely counterintuitively wound up hurting him far more than helping.
Okay, what do we got? We've got 4 more plus. Already lost track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11. We're going to be at 12 here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going, so this will be 13, 14. So this will be 13. I'm jumping ahead here.
Yeah, this one will be 13. Rando room will start with 14. And Osse can count to 8. Actually, no, he counted to 9 against the big eyeball. Killed it anyways, but counted to 9 instead of 8. And there's your key in the rando room. So Furaime just taking the mirror, going upstairs. I think that there's really nothing else that he might want here. Like, I don't think he cares about the powder or a 12th heart if he's not checking those other chests.
He doesn't need anything else.
Yep, tempered sword. Pretty much all you really need. Half magic, a little nice. Of course, this mimic being a little bit there. There it goes.
Yeah, he gets it at the end.
Yep. Still has a good number of arrows left for the gauntlet if he wants to use them. Although most runners do prefer Fire Rod in there for the most part.
Yeah, with half magic, he should be fine using Fire Rod if he wants to do that.
Yep, especially with the Tempered Sword in hand, means that Fire Rod only really needs to come into play for some of the sillier movements and the Stalfos in the last gauntlet room. Although, bow there. I mean, he's got no further use for arrows this seed, so may as well unload them.
Yeah, that's true. You know, with Silverless always being the case in hard mode.
Yep. Ending a race with more than 0 arrows just means you didn't use them. Some might say that they were wasted, but yeah.
He's still got plenty of magic for this next fight, so he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Plus a tempered sword if things go wrong. This is not going to be hard. I do keep saying, though, I do miss the Silver Arrow Landmo kills. Those are fun to watch, and we're not going to see any for this tournament.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a shame. I'm also kind of sad that we don't get to see anybody go for the gold sword Landmo kills, where you can try for the very quick kill by delaying their spawn so that they all spawn at the same time.
Yeah, that's another nice one.
Yeah, but no gold sword in the item pool means we don't get that either. Osse here going for a Cannon Sour route where he went to the Stalfos room first to guarantee that he had keys to go to the right side here after checking the Hope room, which obviously there is a key here, but there is definitely not guaranteed to be one.
Yep.
You'll go right side, probably near back.
Yeah, unfortunately this is not going to get him to the big key any sooner.
Yeah, it's not going to be really any slower than Furaime's route either. It is an extra mirror, but that's really about it.
So I will mention this. As these guys are climbing up the tower, or as Osse's looking for his big keys, Furaime's about to get to Moldorm 2. They are going to play game 2 basically immediately after this. They'll take a short break. We'll switch up our commentary and our crew, and they'll get right back at it.
Yep, so definitely more to come immediately afterwards. While this one didn't go Osse's way, we do see here that the quality of play on his side has been very high, and pretty much all of the time he lost was just to a very highly unintuitive early fire rod that meant he couldn't check the pedestal.
Or didn't have a convenient time to do it.
Yeah. So that does mean that there is still a lot to look forward to in Game 2 here, and it should be a good one. Meanwhile, Aga2 on Furaime's side, I believe that was 2 doubles we've seen. That doesn't help, though. That's not helping either, unfortunately.
Matt finishes off with a triple, so that's always cool.
Yeah. Must have been 1 and 2 on the first 2 phases, but regardless, got the triple, kind of salvaged it there, on to the Ganon fight.
So he's going to get his big key as Furaime drops into the Ganon fight.
Osse finding the 4th bottle of the seed. The bee in it, not really.
Yeah, not even remotely useful. I know some of you like your bees in bottles, but
it'll look nicer in the bottle than it will on the screen, I promise.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Furaime, I believe that's enough slashes for the 1 cycle, so he's got the 1-in-1 here. Yep, just gotta slash Ganon once he stops warping, do that 4 times, and then we're on to the last phase.
Yeah, I mean, a little low in health, but we are past the most dangerous part of the phase of the fight. You shouldn't be taking damage once you get past the 2nd phase, so you should be fine at this point.
Even if he does, he still has 2 fairies. Fairy revivals are a little
right.
slow,
I keep forgetting about those fairies, and magic not an issue because he's also got a green bottle, so you know.
Yep.
Oh, nice hook shot to make sure that he gets that torch glitch. He's got enough magic that he'd be fine without it, to be honest. He's got a big enough lead.
Yeah,
but definitely, you definitely don't want to have to deal with 2 fiery rod shots every phase instead of, or every, I guess every phase instead of just being able to light 1.
Yeah, like his current magic meter before he took that 2nd fire rod shot was equivalent to a full magic meter without half magic. So definitely in good shape.
Yep.
I think Osse's saving a bit of time on the land moves there, getting that 1 cycle. Pretty sure Furaime needed a 2nd one there, but Furaime has got Ganon down, and ultimately that's what matters. Well, what matters more is that he'll cross this bridge in a second.
And he'll do so with an official race time of 1:41.08. GG's to Furaime. And given that there is another race to be followed, Osse has decided to forfeit. I think just to make sure he gets plenty of time, the same amount of time to rest up and get ready for the next seed. So I'm going to assume that there won't be any interviews until after the 2nd seed. So I guess that's not much else going on for us here.
Yep, Osse gonna play it out for another few seconds or so. But yeah, that will be Game 1. Game 2 to come. If Furaime wins it, he is through to brackets. If Osse wins it, then we get Game 3, presumably either tomorrow or Sunday, but has not been scheduled.
It has not been scheduled, and we do have Ack the Boker and Clearmouse on the comms for that one, so definitely want to stay tuned for that one. Link Force Zero doing the tracking, so a good crew coming up for a good match.
Yep, and also Britt giving us an announcement in chat here that Furaime winning this locks in the name of DT into the bracket as the 34th seed, and that locks a matchup in with F. Coughlin for him once the bracket stage starts.
Should be a good one.
Yeah, should be pretty spicy. Actually, it looks like despite having forfeited the race, Osse is going to continue playing out at least through Aga2.
This is where, okay, he's right there.
Okay.
Yeah, he might not have seen it right away. It looks like he forfeited about a minute after. Oh, he's okay, kind of still going.
He's hanging out. He's having fun.
Yeah, he's just gonna hang out and wait for the next seed to come.
Yeah. just as a general reminder for people who may not play this game as frequently, the hookshot is a wonderful movement item. Latches onto torches, bushes, trees, just about anything.
Okay, as we watch the credits, as Osse does whatever he's going to do here, maybe he does finish the seed, maybe he doesn't. I guess we should start closing things out. Rick, thank you for joining me on commentary. We haven't gotten to do it yet this tournament, and glad we finally did.
Yeah, it's definitely a blast. Definitely entertaining match. It was definitely closer than the gap suggests throughout pretty much all the early game. It was only once Furaime learned about that flute on the ped that things really shifted in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, he did kind of get a bit of an early lead because of the single dip into Eastern Palace, but Osse made that up with being able to pair Eastern with Pod, and then that early Skull Woods play. But yeah, that flute showing up on the ped just turned this race on its head, and unfortunately, Osse, like you said, as much as I was kind of hoping he would go check it, and as much as that might have been the thing I do, he wasn't going to do it, and didn't get the information, and therefore just had longer dungeons to clear.
Yep. Anyways, I'm checking over the schedule for the rest of the night. On the ALTTP Randomizer channel, we do have Kern vs. Paradox. That should be ongoing now. That's a game 2, with game 3 to play immediately afterwards if needed. So, obviously, we've got game 2 of this series coming up as soon as the runners decide they're ready to go. So, that's going on. But that will close out the schedule for tonight. And we have a series of matches tomorrow. A few game 1s, few game 2s, a couple game 3s. Restream information on all of those is to be determined, but if you want rando, keep an eye on the schedule, because there will be some. The group stage will end this week, then we'll move into the bracket stage after that with the top 64.
Yeah, it looks like we have races going all the way through Sunday afternoon, so yeah. I guess the start of the brackets will be Monday, so looking forward to that. And as we get the winner take all, and 3 fun weeks of group play into brackets, and still going. So a lot of fun.
Yep, still all the rando you could want to be had for the next few weeks. But other than that, we do see Osse is going to finish out after having forfeited the race. He is on phase 3 or phase 4 Ganon here. And let me see if I can find real quick. Looks like we are a little more than 10 minutes away from the next race starting, so stick around, should be pretty good. And other than that, while Osse finishes out his Ganon fight here, Tracy, it's been a blast.
Absolutely, glad we got to do it. And of course, big shout outs to Raylan Tanker, our tracker, the MVPs of our little tournament here, and also, Raylan, the ultimate utility guy who just does everything. Today tracking, sometimes commentating, sometimes setting things up for SG. Definitely big shout outs to him.
Yep. And then that's going to actually be Osse crossing the bridge here in a sec. We will not have an official time for it, but is across the bridge.
So GG's to Osse.
Yep, GG's to him. And looking forward to seeing what he shows us in game 2.
All right, that'll do for us. We'll turn over to Ack and Clearmouth as soon as they're ready, as soon as these runners are ready to go. And we'll hope to see you all watching.
Yep. Normally I'd say we'd see you over some other race, but in this case, some other race gonna be coming right up.